Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
I'm agnostic. I just kept hearing you say he needs to acknowledge some absolute in order for the tree to be real. And I'm like, and I just asked myself, okay, for there to be a fact. So I asked myself, okay, this guy named Darth is talking. Why do I characterize that as a fact? Because I characterize it as a fact because I'm hearing sounds. I'm hearing sounds. Like my senses are being stimulated. That's all.
Are senses and sounds facts?
Based on what I characterize as a fact, something like
Good,
that I
good.
sense
Now,
or
can
see.
can you have a fact? Can you have any fact at all if nothing is absolute?
Can you have a fact if nothing?
If nothing is absolute and unchanging, could you have a fact?
I mean, a fact is.
No, I said, can you have a fact if it is the case that there is nothing that is absolute and unchanging?
No,
Does
you can't.
factness require that some things do not change?
Yeah, because a fact is kind of like a. It's
Good,
like
excellent, good.
it's a
So
pillar. A fact is a pillar. It's like you're saying this is how something is.
So factness requires that some things don't change, right?
Yeah.
Good. What is it that is absolute, that is unchanging, that will provide for anything else that is unchanging?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Good. Guess what? Then you have no background information for factness. You don't have a system. Remember what I told you about a little child counting? Okay.
You mean what you told him? Yeah.
Yeah. If you're teaching a child to count, right? Little children, and you touch your pinky, 1, 2, 3, and then the child goes back to the pinky and goes 4, 5, 6. No. You say, no. You can't recount the ones you've already counted, because that would be inconsistent with the system, right?
Okay.
So you can't count without there being a system that governs the counting.
Okay.
You can't have facts without a system.
Okay.
Or a model of reality. Within that model of reality, something must be unchanging in order to have facts.
No, I think that thing must be unchanging.
No, listen to me carefully. Something must be unchanging in order for there to be a fact.
Okay, can you state a fact from your point of view? Like state just state a fact.
The Eiffel Tower stands in Paris. Tonlock, with the red hat here, makes really badass brownies with vanilla ice cream. Okay?
Okay, so the Eiffel Tower is in Paris.
Joe Biden is senile. These are all facts.
Okay? That's an opinion, but okay.
Really? So you think Joe Biden is not senile?
Seriously?
Man, I don't watch him enough to care or to know.
Okay. All right. So let's go back. Okay. So if there is a fact at all, then something must be unchanging.
Okay.
Okay. Now, whatever is unchanging must either be absolute within itself, or something else must be absolute that is not changing, that institutes and secures what does not change in order to provide for factness. Factness requires that at least something is unchanging. Okay?
I think I follow you. Okay.
Now, that requires that something be absolute. If nothing is to be reckoned as absolute, meaning it doesn't change, okay, then there's no grounds whatsoever to say that that there are some things that don't change. Well, what makes them not change?
So if we just assume,
if there's nothing absolute, then there will be nothing to impose and sustain that certain things won't change.
I think facts are based on like the time period. So at
No,
one
you're
point,
not. You're listen, sir. Are facts dependent upon time?
yes,
Good. So are there certain things about time that don't change?
that's a loaded question.
No, it is not a loaded question.
What? What's the objectionable premise?
Yeah. Whenever people are uncomfortable about answering a question, they say it's a loaded question. Okay. So, for example, doesn't time entail that there be a referent? Okay. If I'm going to say that
A
the
reference
apple,
point.
yeah. How would you invoke time if there's no referent?
Yeah. So
In other words, how do you know what time of day it is?
a clock.
Yeah. You have a referent.
Okay.
And the clock is based upon a referent. It's based upon the rotational axis of the Earth vis-a-vis the sun.
Okay.
It's also based upon other things around us that change. For example, let's say the ticking of a quartz chip inside of a watch. So in order to have time, you have to have a referent, but that referent has to have something about it that's not changing.
Okay.
Okay? So even the concept of time requires a referent.
Okay.
Or that something's not changing. Now, time is defined as the indefinite progress of change. But in order to understand change, you have to have a referent that's not changing. Okay? Now, the point is this. The point is this. Unbelievers recognize that in a God world, where the God of the Bible is the ultimate and absolute, he is what institutes and secures the factness of facts. Okay?
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
Good. Then explain to me, what is it that is fundamentally absolute that will ground any fact?
Just like the previous person said, I don't know, and I don't have to.
So guess what? Then you do have to.
Why?
I got bad news for you, because you
Why?
admitted earlier that in order to have a fact, something must be in actuality unchanging, as opposed to us having the perception that something's not changing. We're talking about the actuality. So for example, suppose there's a young woman standing on a corner, right? She's waiting for the bus, right? You look at her and you turn and you walk away for a second and you're talking with somebody, you look back and she's still standing there. But what you didn't know was the bus came, her twin sister arrived, that woman got on the bus, but her twin sister remained, and the bus went off. When you turned back around, you looked at her again, and you thought that was the same person standing there. And what you thought was a continuity of a circumstance is not continuity at all. There's a difference between the perception of continuity versus the actuality of continuity. So just because you believe that there's continuity is not a rational justification that the continuity is real. Okay? So if the continuity is real as opposed to just simply believed, then what imposes that the thing in question does not change? Is it in and of itself absolute and unchanging, or is there something else that is absolute and unchanging that provides that other things don't change?
Even if the second thing you said, if there is an absolute thing that regulates, if there's an absolute thing that regulates.
All right. I got to go in a minute. Listen, I got to go in a minute, but can you have a fact without identifying that anything is unchanging? Can you have a fact without an absolute?
I think I have a lower standard of
no,
fact.
Sir, can you have a fact if nothing is absolute? The answer is no. No, you're not understanding. Without there being some absolute, then you can't have a fact.
Let's just. I mean, if you said you got to go, right? So let's
This is not,
say
listen, this
everything.
is not complicated. All I want you to do is to tell me you understand. And if you understand, do you agree or disagree? You could only have a fact if something is unchanging.
So if I assume that what you're saying is accurate, then how does that lead us to the Bible? That's what
Okay,
I'm trying to get.
sir, do you agree that in order for there to be a fact, something must be unchanging?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, good,
yeah.
good. Now, if you say that a fact in question, whatever that fact is, the Eiffel Tower stands in Paris, depends upon the regularity of the molecular structure of the metal of the Eiffel Tower. Is the molecular structure of the Eiffel Tower itself absolute and unchanging, or whatever regularity it possesses? Is it absolute in itself, or is its regularity derivative of something that is absolute? Because unless you tell me that the Eiffel Tower and its regularity is absolute and unchanging, then it too will require that something that is unchanging that provides for its regularity. So a fact, any fact at all, is going to require that something is unchanging. Okay?
This reminds me of something that a lawyer once told me about a boat that left one part of the world and was being repaired on the way to another part of the world, and on the way every part of the boat was repaired and replaced by new parts.
Yeah,
So
you're
the
talking
question
about
was,
identity over time.
so the question was, is it the same boat if every part on the journey,
Is it the same boat in reference to what?
in reference to its original
No, it would not be.
yeah, so that's what it sounds like you're trying to say. Yeah,
No, sir. Sir, listen very carefully. I'm breaking this down in very simple terms. Can you have any fact at all unless something is absolute? And the answer is no, you can't. Something's going to have to be absolute. Okay? This is not controversial. Now,
okay, but I already said, assume I agree.
Do you believe then that God is the absolute that makes facts the facts? Yes or no?
No.
Good. What is it then? What is the absolute that does exist then? What is it?
I like I said, I'm agnostic, so I don't.
No.
I feel comfortable saying I don't know.
Listen carefully. So the answer is there is no identifiable invocation that there is an absolute then. Okay? There is no absolute to be spoken of then, correct?
I would say it's not identifiable.
No. Okay. Is there an absolute?
An unidentifiable absolute.
No. Okay. So there is an absolute then.
Based on my limited knowledge,
Good.
limited capacity, I would say there is an absolute.
On what grounds do you assert there is an absolute?
Like I said, based on my limited knowledge.
That's a non-informative answer.
I would assume that there's an absolute. It's an assumption.
How did you
It's an assumption.
Okay, is it arbitrary?
Yes.
Good, thank you very much. So that means that all of your claim to factness without God is irrational.
Fine. How does that lead us to the Bible, though?
Well, what it shows you is that the God of the Bible, who is all great making properties, is the absolute transcendental necessity for everything, including meaning and intelligibility and factness. Deny the God of the Bible and his attribute set as being the grounds and basis for actuality and intelligibility, then you will have no system to appeal to whatsoever in order to invoke the actuality and intelligibility of anything. In other words,
that's false.
Oh, good. What's absolute, sir?
So,
do you accept? Hold on a second. Stop being argumentative, or I'm going to kick you from the room. Do you accept the God of the Bible as the absolute that provides for the factness and intelligibility of all facts? Do you accept that?
So was that to try to get me to submit?
Do you accept the God of the Bible as that which is absolute? From which
I would suggest you kick me out of the room.
And you know what? I suggest that you're right. Goodbye. Okay. See, this is what happens when they get cornered with the bankruptcy of their own metaphysic, they still do not want to bow the knee to God. When they had been brought to the face that they need God even to say the sky is blue, right? They refuse to acknowledge God as creator. But then when you show them, oh, so you can say the sky is blue without God? Yeah, say, good. What's absolute then? Well, there's something there. I just don't know what it is.
By the way, did you get that, Tom Rabbit?